What are you eating?
I just had a meat stick and a cheese stick.
My snacks can only be phallic. Do you like Baby Bells? Is it shaped like a dick? Then no. Why don't we get started?
All right.
Welcome to SVU Pod Especially Heinous. I'm Tasha.
I'm Gabe.
We are on Season 3, Episode 12, Protection. Season 3, Episode 12, Protection.
It's a dark alley, and this woman is carrying a child down the street towards a hospital. Her other son is with her, and he's like, Mom, let's go. Whoa. She tells him to go into the hospital and get someone. So he runs in. The security guard's like, oh, why are you going so fast? Blah, blah, blah. And he tells the guard that his brother's been shot, and his mom just then walks through the door with the child. The guard grabs the kid and throws him on a gurney. A nurse notices that there's no exit wound and rushes him straight to ER. Obviously, the mom is like freaking out because they won't let her come in with her son. And the nurse is like trying to calm her down and examine her because she's got blood on her too. The security guard starts calling NYPD, but the mom begs him not to call the police. And he's like, I have to. Like, your fucking kid was shot.
Yeah, he looks at her like, ma'am.
Yeah.
But she's also in a state of...
Right.
I'm watching it going, that's the most basic thing to say to somebody, but she's trying to process it. And he's like, I don't know how else to tell you, but like, there's no way around me calling the fucking cops.
Yeah. She says her name is Lupe Rodriguez, and her son who was shot is named Jorge. Now we're in the ER room. The security guard tells a cop that the kid is like super lucky. He's still critical, but should make it through surgery. The cop asks him where Lupe is, and the security guard takes him to the waiting room, but Lupe and her older son are fucking gone. Now we're still in the hospital, but Benson and Stabler are there. The security guard has given Benson the rundown of what happened. He tells her that Lupe freaked out when he called the police.
In radiology, Stabler's talking to the doctor. She is the doctor who's taking care of everything.
Right.
Jorge was shot in the lower abdomen. She says she thinks he's probably 5 or 6, and he's going to be fine from the gunshot, but he's got other problems. And Stabler goes, worse problems than a gunshot wound? Ugh.
Yeah.
She had noticed some healed fractures on his x-ray, so she did a full body scan and found healed fractures all over his entire body. Like, this kid has been getting terribly abused.
Yeah, like jaw. On either side of his jaw, he had healed fractures.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Arms, legs, everything.
Mm-hmm. Here we are at the squad room, all of us together. Stabler's telling the gang... Stabler's telling the gang that the doctor says that Jorge got beat up for years, but no one from the hospital recognized him or his name.
Or anyone coming in matching his series of injuries.
Yeah. Lupe gave them a fake address and social security number. Cragen says that they're either new to the area or Lupe took Jorge to a different hospital every time he was hurt. Munch and Toots are rolling around ideas that going to different hospitals make it harder to pick up on abuse, or that Lupe was protecting a boyfriend that didn't like Jorge. You know, they're just spitballing, trying to figure out what's going on because this is bananas.
I don't like how they said, or boyfriend that didn't like Jorge.
Why? What do you mean?
As if it's like, I don't like that kid. If there's somebody injuring a fucking 5 or 6-year-old, it has nothing to do with his feelings about the child.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm nitpicking, but I don't fucking like that. It's not about like the writer, whatever. It's an arbitrary thing, but I heard it and went, gross.
Yeah.
No. Oh, you mean she was protecting a boyfriend who's a piece of shit?
Right, yeah. Oh, and Cragen says that maybe the two boys were playing with guns. It's anyone's guess at this time. Mm-hmm. Stabler says that according to the wound, he was shot from a distance, though. There was no gun residue or whatever it's called.
Yeah, they didn't have any stippling or gunshot residue, so Stabler was giving the rundown of these would be the requirements for close range, so he was shot at a distance. Yeah. Oh, and the fact that there was no exit wound.
So at this time, they literally have nothing, like no real IDs, no crime scene, nothing. But Lupe couldn't have come from very far carrying her son, because he's like 50 pounds. Cragen sends Munch and Toots off to check with transit and then call every ER in New York City to see if anyone knows of any patients matching Jorge's past injuries. Cragen thinks that they live close to the hospital and wants Benson and Stabler to check where the kids probably went to school.
Benson and Stabler head over to PS 266, which is the boys' school. Stabler hands a photo of Jorge to who I assume she's the principal.
Yeah.
She says, "Oh, this is Miguel Ramos. He's one of our first graders."
Yeah.
His brother's name is Luis, and he's one of their fifth graders. Luis is currently absent, so she's kind of putting together that this may be the reason.
Right.
The detectives let her know that Miguel was shot, but is going to be okay. They said that the boy's mother, Lupe, gave a fake address.
And she's like, oh, that must be her thing, because I sent a thing and it said no such address.
Right. And so she's showing them all this paperwork, and Stabler reads something out of the file and goes, 522 East Cherry Street. That's in the middle of the East River Park. These detectives have...
How do they know that?
Dude, they have 20th century pizza delivery guy echolocation or some shit.
Because, oh my God, yeah. No, that's
you know
true. When I delivered pizzas, I knew where everything was just off the top of my head. Yeah.
Yeah. And the way Stabler's like, 522 East Cherry Street. And he kind of looks up at the ceiling like, picturing the map of the entire city of New York. It's one thing to like know your way around Sun Prairie.
Yeah.
He's like, that's in the middle of the East River Park. Every fucking single one of them. You know what it's like? You know what it is exactly like? When I started working at Outback Steakhouse, before I could wait tables, I had to memorize the menu. Mm-hmm. And it is an extensive one.
Yeah.
And I had to take a test, a written test of having the menu memorized. It's the same exact thing. They must do that.
What a crazy requirement for a job that pays probably like $2 an hour.
I know.
Plus tip.
Okay, we're with the principal. Lupe's real name is Maria. Let's run down, because none of these people are who they are now. Miguel is the little boy who got shot. Luis is the older brother. And the mom is Maria. Mm-hmm. There's no real address, but the principal knows that Maria has a job because she takes Luis to a youth center on Essex every day after school.
Doing some real copping.
At the youth center... a man in a long sleeve shirt under a t-shirt so you know he's cool tells Benson and Stabler that Miguel and Luis are regulars there. Benson and Stabler ask if they have any friends that they can talk to. And the dude's like, Kevin, get over here. Kevin
fucking
comes
Kevin.
up. He leaves the game of pinball that he's playing. There's a lot of kid noise and air hockey table noise and squeaky fucking gym shoes. So we know we're at a fucking youth center. A fun one. Kevin tells the I can never say the detectives. I'm always like, Kevin's the detectives. Imagine, you know what we should do sometime? We should recap an episode super trashed and see how it goes.
Oh my God, we should. We should.
We should recap something, but do it like messy drunk.
We should. Oh my God. Yeah, we should do that.
Anyway, we're talking to Kevin. He's a counselor there as well. He says that the Ramos brothers, Luis and Miguel, are great kids. Also that Maria came by yesterday. But he says she does that like once a week. The rest of the time, Luis takes care of Miguel. Just your standard big brother stuff. Your standard good big brother stuff. Like this kid is the oldest. He's the overseer of his brother.
Yeah.
Also, Kevin knows where they live because he walked Miguel home once when Luis was sick. So he's going to give a little boost to the cops' investigation.
Yes.
Benson and Stabler head over to the address that Kevin gave them. We're at the Ramos house. There's some super dancey Latin xylophone music coming muffled from the building.
Yeah.
It sounded xylophone-y. I don't know. I don't know what NBC was doing with that, but there's no Ramos on any of the doorbells. And Stabler's like, I lived in a building for 4 years. I never put my name on the buzzer. And obviously, this mom doesn't seem to want to be found. So that's not surprising.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, these amazing detecting detectives notice some ricochet marks on the side of the building going down the street. They follow it. They're like, oh, no blood, no whatever. Who fucking knows how old these ricochet marks are, by the way?
Right. Yeah.
Here's a clue. Mm-hmm. So they follow it down the street. Olivia pops a squat in front of a railing. It's just like, I found some blood.
Oh my God. And I was just like, what the fuck is this shit? Like,
here's a minuscule amount of blood. She gets out a detective magnifying glass. She dramatically pulls it out of Munch's trench coat. So they're like, we need to call Boston Rob and get him and his crew down here. Boom. CSU at the scene. Boston Rob is there leading the pack. Now that we've both mentioned his attractiveness, by the way, I cannot not acknowledge it.
Yeah.
All right. It's the fucking jacket, dude. The NYPD windbreaker blue is his fucking color.
Yeah.
Okay.
is.
He looks a way that I register in that jacket that I do not register in a white lab coat for him. Mm-hmm. I'm a windbreaker girl. I didn't know it, but I guess I am. It makes him a different person. The white lab coat, he's Clark Kent. But throw on that blue windbreaker, huh? Tights, cape, fucking blast off, bro. Right?
Blast off, bro.
So let's get into it. Boston Rob is going to fill us in on everything. He says, trajectory of the slugs showed a weapon was fired from a low angle. And Stabe goes, oh, someone crouching across the street? And Boston Rob goes, yeah, more like a drive-by. He did. There was a Y in that. Nah. We found more slugs than shells, so some of the shells might have ejected into this car. There's a car parked on the side of the street.
Right.
Benson adds, or rolled into the sewer, and does that smile that white people do when we disappear our lips. She goes... Our guy completely blows by her comment and continues, that's not all. Angles of the slug marks on a building get more and more blunt from the stoop to the alley, so the car had to stop. There's also some kind of skid marks on the road where the shooter peeled out and sideswiped a car on the way. Mm-hmm. And Boston Rob goes, we'll get the chemistry set out and match the prints to the manufacturer. And oh my God, I'm sending you the photo that I took of Boston Rob after he says manufacturer. Do you know?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh my God. I tried the time of my life. It took me a while.
I literally tried to snag it too, but I couldn't get it after the second try and was like, I'm done.
I'm going to post it.
I can't even do it.
He's like, where did that fit? Like, where did that face even come
Manufacturer.
from? Like, I go on for too long about how I'm attracted to him, and then he's like, what?
He makes a weird face, and you're like, oh, kill yourself.
He looks like fucking Sid the Sloth from the Ice Age movies here.
Oh, my God.
Gotta match the paint the manufacturer.
So, anyway, see, I can't even look at that now. I'm over it. Benson and Stabes ask him how long it'll take to get the make and model, and he's like, for you two, give me a day.
I was like, God, I hope that sucks. That he can just like, instead of the order of a crime, like he's just like, I like you guys. And you're like, what?
This isn't the job for that. This
Right.
isn't like, for you two, get in the front of the line. Your burgers are coming first.
Yeah.
Now Munch and Toots roll up. They had been in the building looking for witnesses. Boop, surprise, they didn't find any. But they found out that Luis and Miguel live with their grandma. Ugh. I know. You just did the which is my entire emotional state for this next scene.
Munch and Toots are in Grandma's apartment talking to Grandma. She's the sweetest little lady. You don't see her much in the episode, but she's so sweet. I don't know how she's surviving all of this, by the way. Like
the strength that she carries with her.
Yeah. The other night, she noticed that the boys weren't in their bed, so she assumed Maria took them for the night. Last month, Maria showed up and asked her to take care of the boys for her. And then the grandma starts crying, and she's like, it was like only the second time I've seen them in 2 years. She says Maria is staying with some friends, but that she's trying to find her own place for her and the boys. Stabler's like, why would anybody want to hurt them? And the grandma says that last year Maria was arrested for drugs. Maria asked her for bail so that her boyfriend wouldn't find out. When Maria dropped off the boys, she told the grandma all the drug stuff was in her past and she wasn't going to fuck around with it anymore. Grandma gives Munch and Toots the address of where Maria used to live in the Bronx and then gave them Maria's number at the restaurant where she works.
At this restaurant, the owner tells Munch and Toots that 2 detectives had already been there. Don't you people communicate with each other? This dude is busy.
Yeah.
Busy. For some reason, I believe him that he can't stop and talk to these guys more than any other trash mover or box mover or doorman suitcase mover side character.
Yeah.
This guy goes on to tell them that these cops looked more like drug dealers than cops.
I was thinking like, oh my God, this is like, are these fake cops?
Or cops on the take.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
They told him that they were undercover. Maria didn't show up for work that day, though, and he told the detectives that he didn't know where she was. He said that Maria started acting weird 2 days ago. Some customer comes in and calls her by name. Then she makes like she's sick and said she had to go home. Toots gives him his card and says, let us know if you hear from her. And the owner...
or manager, whoever he is,
says that, well, I've got her paycheck, so she's going to be calling me.
Benson and Stabler are at Maria's old apartment in the Bronx. A dude named Fredo Garcia answers the door. He's got a little like colonel pony too. Obviously, we're like, this is the guy. Yeah. So he lets them in and says that he hasn't seen his family, Maria and the kids, in about a month. He says he was away on a business, and when he came back, they were all gone.
Right away, I'm like, oh, this guy seems like a respectable dude.
Really? I was like, oh, he's it.
Well, you've seen my past. I have a horrible judge of character.
Well, so do I.
But he opens the door. You're also extremely skeptical of everyone.
Okay, yeah. So Stabler tells Fredo that Miguel was hurt, and he immediately asks if Maria did it.
That's what made me question him.
Yeah, and they're like, why would you say that? And he's like, well, she has a terrible temper. He says he's seen her hit Miguel and threatened to call the cops on her if it happened again. And I was like, okay. He thinks that that's why she left with the kids. He didn't report them missing because he looked himself and figured if she wanted to leave him, there was nothing he could do to stop that. He has to respect that or whatever. He then opens the door for Benson and Stabler and asks them if they find Maria to tell her he wants them to come back. This guy's full of shit. Mm-hmm. Benson and Stabler in the hallway. They don't believe Fredo at all.
They're just as skeptical as we are.
Yeah.
Thank God.
They're like, if he's so concerned about Miguel being hurt, why didn't he ask what happened to him?
Right.
And Stabler's like, I want to know what this fucking guy does for a living. Benson is like positive someone's dealing out of the building and points to some cameras. Back at the squad room, Stabler tells the gang that last year Maria was busted with some sweet, sweet skag.
Heroin.
Yeah. And 1,000 in cash. It was like a dozen dime bags. It was like obvious she was trying to sell. She didn't have a previous rap sheet, so the DA knocked the charges down and she only got a year probation. And none of this makes sense to Craig. And he's like,
none of this jives with a woman slinging burgers to support her kids. He says it like he's been hanging in a basement jazz club, listening to Duke from a couple episodes ago play his saxophone.
He's like, I belong here.
None of this jives.
He just like walks out snapping. So the day of the shooting, the boys went to school as per usual and to the youth center as per usual. Maria picked them up and went to Grandma's house where Miguel was shot, and then they went 3 blocks to the hospital. They don't know where Maria was before that. Munch is running a rap sheet on Fredo. In the meantime, Cragen sends them to the hospital because Miguel is awake and asking for his mom. And I'm like, oh. Benson and Stabler are at the hospital. They rush in, and the doctor tells them that Miguel is dead. They're like, what? You literally just called us and said he was asking for his mom. Mm-hmm. Was it surgery complications? And she was like, no, he was smothered by a pillow.
Yeah, the doctor who gave them the news is the same one who showed Stabes the x-ray images at the beginning. Mm-hmm. She has some real all-grown-up Children of the Corn energy for me, the way she's talking. She's
my
like,
God.
Pillow over his face. He
like,
was smothered.
Yeah.
Like,
why is she
emotion.
kind of smiling? She's like slightly like smiling a little bit. It was
right.
weird.
Did you do it?
God.
Also, she said it in such a cavalier way. Not only did I judge your cold, cold heart for that, but I also was like, a doctor would never immediately upon death, like this kid's body's still warm. And she's like, he was smothered with a pillow in the hospital. There's liability there. And I'm just going to say that out loud. Like we don't have a slew of fucking lawyers telling me not to say shit.
Right. Oh, it was crazy. So,
Cabot's like, you shouldn't have done that.
She pops out of a bedpan. Should have done it. Nope. She's like, I got portals all over this city.
She's like a genie. She's like a genie, except it's a bedpan. Oh, she comes out covered in piss.
All right, cut to Miguel's room. Nurses put Miguel's tiny little, like, covered baby body on a gurney. Another nurse tells Benson and Stabler what happened because she was in charge of watching him, and she's like, Miguel was awake and alert and asking for his mom. I left for maybe 5 minutes to get a pediatric blood pressure cuff. Came back and he was dead. Well, wait a minute. Earlier, a maintenance man she's never seen before walked by her when she went to get the cuff. She said hi, and he just kept going, and that like stuck out in her mind for some reason.
I know. I clocked that too. And
she's like, wait a second.
What a white Midwestern lady thing to clock.
Yeah.
I said hi, and he just walked past me. What the fuck?
Exactly. She's like, he just kept going. And I was like, dude, it was odd. She said he was Hispanic with dark hair. Stabler wants her to describe him to a sketch artist. Cragen walks up to Benson and Stabler and said that cops found a maintenance worker's uniform in the men's room. Cragen wants everyone in the hospital to be interviewed super quickly because Maria and Louise could be next. And I was like, are they going to bring like 50 cops in for that? Because there has to be thousands of people in there.
Yeah.
Cut to the squad room the next day or something. Benny and Stabes walk in looking haggard and tired as shit. Obviously, they were up all night interviewing the entire fucking hospital. Toots hands them a sketch from the nurse who found Miguel. Munch says that the lab came back with dozens of prints from Miguel's hospital room, but they haven't found a match to anyone in the system yet. Lab results came back with the car. Remember when got sideswiped and they were getting the lab kit or whatever? When the driver sped away and
boom, bitty bat, boom, boom, here you go.
It was a 98 black Lexus. And I was like, oh, that's pretty fancy, right? For the 90s. Are they still fancy?
Well, it's as far as luxury cars go, it's pretty basic. So there's going to be a lot of them. Yeah. No, I don't mean like that.
I'm kidding.
Oh, I don't mean it in a bougie way.
I drive a black Lexus when I do my crash derby courses. That's my shit car.
When I do it at the golf outings. No, it's
that's your golf cart.
Stabler said it where he was like, oh man, there's going to be X amount of those around the city. A black Lexus it's not a unique vehicle, is what.
Right. Munch offers to cover Benson and Stabler while they go to the, quote, crib.
Do you have any Grey Poupon?
Oh, God. Munch offers to cover Benson and Stabler while they go in the crib to take a nap. But they gotta wait. Toots gets a call from the manager of the restaurant Maria works at. She's on her way to pick up a check.
Toots has got to be the worst with the garbage phone calls. In this scene, the phone rings. He picks it up, held it to his face for a 3 count. Click. He's not even fucking trying. The funniest part, because I watched it a bunch of times, because I'm like, how can we make this different than every other time we mention this? They did it for us. There's a mumbly voice that's not his in the background to simulate his, because his mouth isn't moving. And so you hear this, Detective Tutuola? Yeah. On the last Toots hangs up and says, it's gonna have to wait. Over it saying, yeah. What the shit?
Were they editing later and we're like, God, he never moves his lips when he answers the phone? We got to hire somebody to...
Kevin, get in here. If you do it quiet and subtle enough, it won't matter whose voice it is. Why go through that effort if you're not going to go all the way?
Back at the restaurant, Munch and Toots are undercover in there drinking coffee, blah, blah, blah. Munch
has one of those Secret Service curly cord earpieces in.
Yeah.
He's about as undercover as Steve Buscemi in a middle school.
Band, music, I like it. A woman with a ton of hair is at the front desk getting her check.
A gorge ton of hair.
Yeah. Toots tells Benson Stabler through his little sleeve microphone thing that they fucking always scream into. You're like, God. He's like, yeah, she's in here. Olivia didn't see her come in, and neither did Munch and Toots. So the lady picking up the check is totally not Maria. Munch and Toots follow her. And this 70s detective music starts playing, and I fucking love it. And
it's so good.
Yeah. Here we have a full fucking view of Toots' colonel pony. It's fucking amazing. It's like...
If you straightened it, if you flat ironed that shit, it would be down to his elbows, for sure.
You think so?
Yeah, dude. Curls extend.
That's true. She goes to a bus stop. Toots follows her onto the bus. Where is she taking them? And then Munch hops into Benson and Stabler's totally inconspicuous absolute cop car. It's like total cop car.
So the bus stops then, and the woman gets off. Toots is following so close behind her. He could hop on for a piggyback ride. He is steps behind her. None of them have any idea how to police right now, it looks like.
And if you think that women, I don't care what city you're in, don't know who's behind them at all times.
Yeah.
I'd be like, this dude's behind me, behind the restaurant bus, and he got off at the same... we're clocking that shit 24/7.
He could be half a block behind her and she would know. The fact that he, if she would have stopped to look down to see if her shoe was untied, he would run right into her.
Yeah. The woman gets off the bus and walks up to fucking Luis. Toots is right behind her and he's like, hey, Luis, and flashes his badge. He's not even close to him. You should have just waited. Oh, my God. Fucking Luis takes off. Benson catches him right away. This lady is, all confused. Her name is Annie Cologne, which I fucking just like the way that her first name and her last name sound together. It's just great. She says that Maria asked her to pick up her check, but she doesn't know where Maria is. Maria's been sleeping on her couch for the last week, though. Last night, Maria told Annie she had to leave and to give the check to Luis.
So they're all kind of giving her shit, hey, let us know where Maria is. Can you please just do some help for us? Da-da-da-da. Munch is off on the sidelines, leaning against the car. It seemed so out of place, but he just, arms crossed behind him, zero effort, except with his loud-ass voice goes, Luis, where's your mother? What? It was so bizarre. No answer, just cut to munch.
Yeah. Luis refuses to talk, so they're like, well, take me in. Fucking juvie, blah, 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 you know. Benson and Stabler are in an interview room now with Luis. They tell him that they're just trying to help, and they know Maria and Luis are in trouble, and they want to protect them, but Luis needs to talk. He refuses to tell them where Maria is staying.
Oh, he's not only a great little actor, this kid, but he's like a little grown-up, you know, and he's playing it like that.
Well, yeah, when he was sitting on the chair, he had his arm up, and he was behind it with his fingers, like, tapping the thing, and I'm like, that's not a 10-year-old thing to do.
No. And
You know?
he's just staring him down going, I'm not going to tell you anything.
All right, now we're on the other side of the glass in Cragen's oceanside condo. It's a lot of pastel.
He's worked really hard, okay?
He has. He deserves it. Toots, Cragen, and Cabot are brainstorming how they can hold Luis as a material witness. Like, this little dude saw something. You know, he saw his brother get shot. Like, he was there.
Yeah.
Cabot doesn't want to hold him, though, because he'll just go into juvie and he'll be scared even more. Little Luis doesn't even know that his brother Miguel was murdered. All Luis had on him was a few bucks, a piece of paper that said Liberty on it, and a transit pass that mostly shows Luis is always coming from the Lawrence Street station, and then goes to somewhere in Brooklyn. Cragen wants them to start there and look for any place that has Liberty on it in the name. Maria could be staying around there. Benson and Stabler are canvassing apartments or hotels with the name Liberty in it and are having no luck.
Liberty, liberty, liberty.
Oh my God,
I can't stop. I could not do.
When I was watching this, I was like, we're like, one of us is going to do that, and I hope we accidentally do it at the same time. Benson and Stabler are canvassing any apartments or hotels with the name Liberty in it and are having no luck. Next on the list is a place called Liberty Knickknacks. Maybe Maria has a job there.
Benson and Stabler go into Liberty Knickknacks. And who's there? Maria, carrying some boxes in an aisle. So they split up so that they can flank her, which is amazing that Stabler didn't just stand at the entryway and go, Maria! With his badge wagging around.
I know. Hey!
Sometimes they do it in a way that actually works. Stabler approaches her and she starts to run, but Benson's on her other side and she grabs her. They're like, hey, your kid's at the hospital. What's up? She's like, I had to leave him there. Is he okay? They didn't want to tell her at first, but she's like, what's going on? Is he okay? And they're like, Miguel is dead. And she is not believing them. And my heart is in a million pieces because this woman is screaming and crying and saying, no, the doctor said he was going to be fine. She's crying. They're like, we got to take you in. It's emotional.
Yeah, like you left your son in the hospital. We got to take you in, idiot.
These guys do not treat her in the way that I need her to be treated.
I know.
And I don't know if it's strategy, but if it is, it's traumatizing and I don't like it.
They also don't know anything about her. They're thinking that she's like some drug addict that left her son at a hospital.
Drug addict, drug dealer.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that she's like a piece of shit mom or something. you
Right.
know? But it's also like her kid died though, so just chill.
Yeah. I don't care what your circumstances are. Let's work on our fucking bedside manner. Let's take a weekend course, everybody.
I swear
Just
to God,
in-
you say that every single episode because everything they do is terrible.
Everything can be solved by a 2-day workshop. Just do it, guys. They've got her back in the interrogation room now, and Maria is pissed. And she wants Benson and Stabler to let her see her son, Luis. They tell her that he's going to go to a foster home, and she is pissed about it. And they're like, where were you when your son Miguel needed you? And I'm like, what the fuck, you guys?
Yeah, chill.
And she said, I thought he would be safe in the hospital. I had to go to work and whatever. This woman is not going to be able to sit in the hospital, and they don't even know all the details about it, but she couldn't be there. They accuse her of being the one to cause all the abuse with all of his healings and fractures and things like that. And they tell her that they talked to Fredo. And she's like, what the fuck? You talked to Fredo? She was immediately at a 10 about it.
She's like, he knows that we're here. Yeah.
They tell her that if she didn't hurt Miguel, then they know it was Fredo. And she's like, I'm not saying anything. So like, well, how was his relationship? And she's like, he loved them. We all knew that wasn't the case. Benson's like, stop covering for Fredo. Stabler tells her that they can protect her and Louise. And she's like, to say it in your terms, Stabler, no.
Right. Yeah.
I know that you fucking can't. I cannot talk and you cannot protect me.
Yeah. On the other side of the glass in Cragen's dugout. Kevin and Cragen. Yeah. Kevin and Cragen are talking about how many times they've seen the situation. Like a woman not wanting to press charges against their abusive partners.
Hot dogs. Sorry.
Cregan thinks that Maria leaving Fredo pissed him off, and that's why he shot at them. But he didn't expect Miguel to survive, so he finished the job in the hospital. Cabot's like, that's pretty extreme for like a domestic squabble or something, she says. And I'm like, no, this is domestic abuse. The kid has a fracture. Oh, okay. Like a child is, oh, whatever. Cregan says that there has to be more to it. Munch walks up and tells them that there's no rap sheet on Fredo. But Cregan wants Munch to see if narcotics has anything on him. Munch is like, I'm way ahead of you. I've already talked to him. Narcotics have never even heard of him. Then Munch says the narcotics started questioning Munch like they didn't believe that he was a cop.
Yeah, he goes, the only thing they didn't ask me is whether I wear boxers or briefs.
Questioning room, Munch and Louise are having a little hang rap sesh. Munch is straddling a chair that is backwards and his hat is... No, I forgot I wrote this. Munch is straddling a chair that is as backwards as his hat. That was stupid. See, I can't write shit. I have to just say stuff.
It is. It's good, though.
Munch is straddling a chair that is as backwards as his hat. Munch also has his jeans on backwards, like crisscross. Shut up! And a backpack hanging on his shoulder with one strap. He's so cool. He can relate to kids. There's Bone Thugs and Harmony are playing in the background at my middle school that has asbestos. Munch is telling him about how when he was a kid, his mom would hover over him, but not like Maria does to Luis. This, for some reason, piques his little interest. Munch is telling Luis that he seems very independent. This little dude is always helping his mom and picking up his brother and like ride the subway. And Munch has a lot of respect for him.
He knows how to treat him like a little adult to get him to talk.
Yeah. He's like, somebody's got to do it. Luis says that he didn't take care of them too well because Miguel got shot, and he thinks it's his little baby fault. Luis doesn't really want to talk about what happened because it will get everybody in trouble. And he's like, he'll hurt my mom if I say anything. Munch tells him that he and his mom take care of each other and she needs his help right now. This little guy has like tears on his face and he starts to open up. He says he saw one of Fredo's men in the car where the shots came from. Toots is in an alley talking to an informant who looks really familiar, by the way, doesn't he? Did he not look familiar to you?
I tried to look into who he was, and I couldn't find him credited. He was a great actor though.
Especially with his hands.
He was very natural and believable, and I liked I really enjoyed what he brought to the character and how he breathed life into it.
Yeah. Toots asks him about Fredo. Dude's like, are you fucking trying to get me killed? Toots is like, the evidence I have on you is not up for 2 more years, so you have to fucking tell me or I'll throw your ass in jail.
Right. This exchange lets us know that this guy is an informant for Toots because Toots globbed onto him when he was doing undercover shit in narcotics.
Right.
So this guy like owes him as much information as Toots wants. Toots is basically extorting him for information.
Yeah.
Where he's like, you could go to prison or you could fill me in on some shit.
Right. So this guy's like, you have to watch.
And then the robot comes out and goes, you could fill me in anytime. Sorry.
So this dude's like, fucking watch my back if I tell you shit. So Fredo is new. Okay. 2 years ago, Fredo cornered the dope market in this area. He came in and killed all of the local competition. A dude named Joey Stapleton was the main dude in the Bronx till Fredo fucking killed him. So he forced out a bunch of tenants, paid the rest to take off, and took over the whole building and moved in with Maria and the kids. This guy tells Toots that he hears that Maria has a hit on her from Fredo for ratting him out to the cops. And this is where you see him being a good actor because he puts his hands up and he's like, for ratting him out to the cops, like pointing at like, this is what I'm doing. It was really good. I don't know.
I loved, all of his handwork, all of his little hand, because there was another time in the beginning of the conversation where he was like, you're going to get me killed.
Yeah.
He did it so well that it seemed like he was playing it like that was this guy's personality, which made it seem like a unique personality. I don't know. I thought he was fantastic.
I did too. Yeah.
Bravo.
So there was a ton of other side of the glass work going on. Like, so I was like, I don't know. On the other side of the glass in Cregan's Epcot Center. I don't know. Stabler and Benson are saying that Fredo charmed Maria and took over the apartment and used it as a drug place. Munch pops in and says that they're ready. And they're like, this might be the only way we can get them to talk. So they bring Luis into the room with Maria and they all watch. Maria tells them that Miguel is dead, and she tells him it's not his fault. Luis is like, yeah, it's fucking Fredo's fault. I fucking told Munch about Fredo. And Maria starts banging on the glass and freaking out and saying, he lied. She's like, take it back. He's a fucking kid, and you tricked him into talking. She's so fucking scared. Luis begs her to stop, and she's like, just fucking tell them. Like, Don't be afraid.
We got a precinct walk and talk here with Benson, Stabler, Cragen, and Cabot. Cabot says that they can keep Maria and Luis in protective custody. Benson thinks that SVU should get them out of town, but Cabot's like, I need them nearby to prep for the case for the grand jury. And Cragen's like, we don't have any budget for witness protection. Maybe we can get some money from the DA. I don't know. The one PP's been up their asses about money since 9/11. He does say that the city will pay for Miguel's funeral, though, because it's victim support. Cragen wants them to find a church. As far as the funeral goes, Cragen wants them to find a church that's as far away from all this shit as possible. And the only people that will be in attendance are immediate family and the police. Just for protection's sake.
Right.
SVU has Maria and Luis set up in this hotel in Flushing. Maria's sitting there talking to Benson, telling her that she loved Fredo and he was wonderful until one night she came home and he was cutting up heroin with some of his buddies while her kids fucking watched. She told him to stop and he loses it and pistol whips her for embarrassing him. Of course, he apologized and said he wouldn't do it again. Then that just kind of opened the door for Fredo to start beating Miguel and Luis too. He would always beg for forgiveness and made promises not to do it again and give them gifts. And then it would repeat itself. And she couldn't leave. He only gave her enough money for food and to barely survive. And then he would take the rest.
And spend it on fucking his friends and like other women.
Yeah. Then she gets arrested for the drugs that she was not using. She had never been a drug user. Fredo made her carry his drugs inside of her and forced her boys to run the drugs and said he would kill them if they didn't do what he said. Benson's like, what was the final straw? And Maria's like, dude, one day Fredo beat a man with Luis's baseball bat while Luis and I watched. That's it. Like, it's going to be one of us next. So a man that worked for Fredo recognized Maria at the restaurant, and that's how Fredo found them the night of the shooting. All of a sudden, Stabler knocks on the door, and he and Luis come in, and they're all dressed for the funeral, and Luis looks really nice, and he smiles. He gives his mom this like sad little smile.
Like this, a little side smile thing, like with his head tilted. She's like, you look so handsome. And he's like, It's heart-wrenching, but from way earlier, and I didn't think to put it in my notes until now, Maria and Olivia have the same fucking haircut, and they are pulling it off flawlessly. They both look incredible with this haircut. It suits them. It does. It's very
and
cute.
Have
you seen Suits? I can't even do it the way.
Have you seen Suits? I love that you said that. Yeah, I just think they both look incredible with this haircut, and I'm loving it on both of them.
Yeah. Everybody's at the church. It's empty, of course, except for the priest, Benson, Stabler, Maria, Grandma, and Luis. Bunch of toots walk in with detectives Milan and Tatum from the Bronx.
These fucking dorks.
Yeah, I know.
The one dude looks like Simon Van Kempen from early Real Housewives of New York. Goog it.
Yeah.
And I almost didn't recognize Angel Batista from Dexter as the other dude, you know, because he wasn't wearing a fedora.
Right.
As soon as he spoke, I was like, oh, it's fucking Batista.
Yeah. I love that guy.
I do too.
They straight up cause some shit at a funeral. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. They say that Maria and Miguel witnessed Fredo kill his competitor, Joey Stapleton. They say Maria came to them but disappeared before they could get a statement. Maria's like, dude, Fredo's men followed you fucking too, and that's how Fredo found her at the restaurant. And Stabler's like, Maria, it's time to start telling the truth. And she's like, yes, we did see how Fredo killed Joey. That's exactly how he sounds. She's like, yeah, we did see Fredo kill Joey, but I ran when they said I had to testify in court. I'm not facing Fredo. All of a sudden, there's a gunshot that busts a vase behind Maria's head. She falls to the floor. She's hit.
I need to go to craft services because I cannot take what this must be doing to 10-year-old Luis.
Oh my God, yeah.
He is at his little brother's funeral. He has seen so much shit prior to this. And then there's like all these cops fucking it up. And his mom is terrified. He's trying to hold everybody the fuck together.
Yeah.
When he should just be going to school and like pretty soon start jerking off. Like he should have no other concerns. Well, he's 10. You know, he's almost to that point.
Yeah.
But instead, he's at his little brother's funeral, and all of a sudden it starts getting shot up. Like the trauma that this fucking fictional kid is going through is insane.
Right.
I need a bagel with cream cheese.
Everyone drops to the floor with guns drawn. Toots calls it in while everyone runs to find the shooter. So they're chasing this dude out of the church, and he runs up to a car, and it's like a...
Wait. So when they all pile out of the church and Olivia hops the last little step, it was so fucking cute.
Oh, I didn't know
I
this.
took a video of it.
Oh, good.
I'm going to send it to you right now. Like one guy's like down the steps, and then Stabler's like off the last couple steps, and then Benson's like bloop. It's very cute.
Did you send it to me?
Do you get it? Yeah. It's a chase scene.
Yeah. Cute. They got him surrounded. Bronx detectives drag the guy at the wheel out of the car while Benson cuffs the shooter. Ooh, the car's a black Lexus with silver paint scrapings on it. They find a fake badge, the one used to fool the restaurant owner guy. Fucking Stabes asked where he got the badge, and the dude said, shove it. And Stabler's like, I'm sorry, what? He's like, shove it. It was so funny because he sounded like a little kid. He's like, shove it. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
He's like, I said, shove it. Stabler legit starts choking him.
But super calm and scary, which...
Yeah, and I'm like, this is illegal. That guy's whole case is he's free to go after that. An ambulance comes and gets Maria out of there. Thank God she was only shot in the arm. Maria's telling Benson that she's like, they're getting her in there, and she's like, you can't keep us safe. You're never going to. And it's like, hot take, they never can.
Now that we've got this guy picked up, we've got a lineup. Munch asked that nurse that was taking care of Miguel if she recognizes anyone. She picks out number 3, the guy that shot up the funeral. She says he killed Miguel.
And she's really only there because she's pissed he didn't say hi back.
Yeah. That's that motherfucker. That's so rude. Does he not know how rude that is? Yeah, and then he went and smothered that kid with a pillow. But first...
he didn't say hi back.
The dude's lawyer, who's early 2000s Nicole Richie in a Reba wig,
Ew,
says...
yeah, though.
Because the nurse was like, that's who I saw at the hospital. He killed Miguel. And this lawyer's like, you didn't see him kill anyone.
And Cabot's like, girl, calm down. We're not in court. Like, chill.
Yeah. Maria then comes in and immediately picks out number 3. She knows him by name. His name's Eddie Fuentes. He works for Fredo, and she saw him driving the car when Miguel was shot. She says Eddie was driving the car, but it was Fredo that shot Miguel.
Now we're in the interrogation room. Eddie's lawyer tells Benson, Stabler, and Cabot that her client wants to remain silent. Cabot says if he wants to stay alive, he'll say something. And immediately the guy's like, what? He talks. He's like, alive? What do you mean? Benson says that Miguel was a fucking murder witness and killing him in a hospital is capital punishment, just period. Bro, the nurse is a witness. His car left paint scrapings. He shot up a funeral. That's attempted murder of civilians and 6 cops. He's going down and the jury will not give a shit that no one saw him actually smother Miguel in the hospital.
She's leaned so far in when she says that too.
Yeah. Her knees are like on the edge of the table.
Piercing eye contact.
So Eddie's like, I don't talk for nothing. And Cabot offers murder 1, life without parole. And dude's like, what the fuck kind of deal is that? Which I was like, yeah, geez. If Eddie gives them Fredo, they take the death penalty off the table. They're like, it's the only deal that'll keep you fucking breathing. Mm-hmm. If somebody told me that I was going to jail for the rest of my life without parole, I would need a minute. You know what I mean? He just spills the beans and he's like, you have to protect me. And they're like, we'll keep you out of Gen Pop.
Yeah, which is not great if you've ever watched a prison documentary.
Yeah. So he's like, dude, this was all Fredo's idea. I thought it was insane to fucking try to kill a kid in a hospital, and that was going too far. Fredo wanted Maria and Miguel dead because they were witnesses to him killing Joey Stapleton. Fredo gave Eddie $60K to kill them. They found her the first time at the diner when she was talking to the 2 cops. They lost her, and then they found the 2 cops that led them right to the fucking funeral. You know, the fucking Bronx cops. Batista and
Simon.
Cabot's office, the 2 Bronx cops are fucking pissed. He's like, they followed us. Impossible. You're like, I hate you. and then I was like, oh my God, they're in on it with Fredo. That's where I was at.
I was there for a minute too.
Mm-hmm. They want to interview Eddie, but Cragen doesn't want them to. Cragen wants to know who told him they had Maria. He said that Narcotics Task Force said that SVU was asking questions like when Munch called, and someone on the squad told them about the funeral. Cragen yells at them and he's like, you guys fucking showing up to the funeral almost cost them all of their lives, including their own.
Simon from Roni flops back in his chair. He goes, come on, let us talk to the girl. Like a fucking petulant teenager. This guy.
Remember Paul Rudd when he had to pick up the fucking.
Yeah.
In Wet Hot American Summer? It was like,
let's talk to the girl. He was all like serious cop until Cragen doubled down and was like, no, you're not going to talk to her. And he's like, oh, Dad.
It was exactly what it was like.
Come on. God.
Yeah. Jesus. I
hate it here.
I never asked to be born. Stupid. Cragen says that if they want in on this, they have to follow his orders. Okay?
Yeah. And they were both like,
all right, Dad. Benson asks if they went to Maria's hotel first. And they're like, yeah, they did before the church, which means Fredo could know that SVU has Maria and Luis at the hotel. They have to move her and Luis like right away. Cragen's like, you guys, we need to work together to protect Maria, which means you guys just bought yourself the third shift. And they're like, oh.
Out on the street, Benson and Stabler are moving Maria and Luis to a different hotel. Maria doesn't want to go to this hotel because she doesn't drive and they'll be trapped there and Luis won't be able to get to school because it's like way out of the area.
She's like, Luis needs to be in school right now. And you're like, no, he doesn't.
I think she just wants to try to keep some sense of normalcy for her kid. But I'm sorry, now is not going to be the time that that's going to happen.
Yeah.
They're like, sorry, dude, we have to get you out of the city to keep you safe. She says to let her and Luis go and she'll come back to testify, but that's what she said before and she disappeared. They can't risk that again. Now Maria's in the back seat with Luis saying that she never should have gone to the police. She feels like because she went to the cops, she's the one who killed Miguel. She's like, you guys can't help me. You can't help us. Anybody here could be Fredo's people. That could be one of his guys. That could be one of his guys. You know what? I'm not going to testify against Fredo. And Stabler tells her that as long as she's alive, Fredo will never stop looking for her. And if she refuses to testify, they're going to subpoena her anyway. And if she still doesn't, she'll go to jail and Luis will go to foster care. She's like, fine, take him, put him somewhere safe. The whole time Luis is sitting next to his mom.
But she's so fucking desperate.
Yeah, it's really sad. But she's being put between a rock and a hard place. She's just like getting pushed and pushed and pushed. She's not in a place where she gets to make any decisions for herself. Every route she takes is going to end up back in the same spot. Or worse.
So at the precinct, Cabot says to Stabler that Maria has to testify. Benson says that they're making her a moving target and it's hurting her and Louise. She's in more danger because the cops are around. Cragen wants to know if there's any way they can nail Fredo without having to use Maria and Louise. But Cabot says that they saw Fredo kill Joey Stapleton. Without their corroboration, she can't even indict. Munch walks in and says that Eddie Fuentes gave up all of Fredo's operation, even down to the escape routes. Benson says Maria won't talk till Fredo's out of the picture. And Toots says, you guys better fucking hurry because Maria and Louise went to the grandma's house to get Louise's asthma medication and escaped out the window. The other two Bronx cops lost her. They gotta nab Fredo before he finds out, or they're dead. Cabot's like, I'm gonna wake up a judge. We'll get a West warrant. Cabot says, shh. We'll get
What are they
it
gonna
at
get,
West.
Gabe?
I know West warrant.
I'm gonna wake up this judge. I'm gonna pop his thumb out of his mouth and say, "Hey, judgy, we need an arrest warrant. We gotta get an arrest warrant because it can only be for Fuedo's drugs."
I'm not messing around with any other charges for this arrest warrant. Drugs only. I'm serious, you guys.
Oh, shit.
I don't know what time it is, but I'm going to wake up the judge and he's going to be crabby.
All right. Cabot says she'll wake up a judge and get an arrest warrant for Fredo, but only for drugs.
Right.
Now we're on the street. Toots. So, yeah, Toots is on the street acting like he's jonesing for some sweet drugs and posts up next to some dude that asks him what he wants.
He's looking like Method Man in this dumb fucking bucket hat.
Oh, God. Yeah, that fucking hat. This dude's like, it's 4 a.m., dude. We're closed. Toots whips out a pile of cash and tells the dude to open up. Dude's a little suspicious, but takes the money and tells Toots to follow him inside. It was funny because the guy's like, I never seen you before. And Toots is like, I never seen you before. Who cares? Like, give me them drugs. Once they get inside, Toots like puts him in this weird headlock. And I when I watched it again, I was like, "What is that?" He just kind of like comes up behind him like he's gonna do a piggyback ride, but then like puts him in like a half Nelson. It's super weird, and then pushes him up against the wall.
The guy's like, do you know who I am? If you're going to fucking rob me, are you kidding?
And he's like, "Shut up, I'm the police." And then a pile of cops pop in with guns and shit, flashing lights for some dumbass reason. Like,
Right, if they're trying to be slick, why do they got all those lights on?
yeah, like shut up, get out of here, just turn them off. I mean.
Shut up, those lights are so loud.
They get to Fredo's door and hear a gunshot and someone scream. Cragen yells through the door, open the door and throw the gun out. And then you hear Maria yell, I'm taking care of this. And she's like, go away. So they fucking bust the door down. Maria's standing over Fredo with a gun. He's on the floor with a gunshot wound to the leg, and he's yelling, "This bitch shot me!" And I'm like, good.
And his ponytail just keeps growing over the episode. He's got a fucking Strega Nona ponytail and a stupid-ass halvesy turtleneck like some Cousin Eddie shit. Like, his turtleneck bothered me so fucking much. He's on the ground, shot, and I'm mad at him anyway, so I'm just like, good, I don't care that you're shot. But as soon as I saw the turtleneck, I'm like, finish him, Maria! It's like one of those off-white turtleneck. Ugh.
Dude, those like halvesy turtlenecks in the early 2000s were fucking, everybody had that. Every like insurance salesman had, like everybody had that shit. My dad was like all over that shit.
Oh yeah. We're going to the Christmas party. Hey, let me put on my half turtleneck super quick and then we can take off.
He's like,
I'm going to put that on. Then I'm going to put on a pea coat. Then I'm going to put on a plaid scarf. Then I'm going to get Craig T. Nelson and Diane Keaton and we're all going to sit around a fire.
Did you write that down or no?
No.
Oh, yay. That was good.
Thank you. I love Christmas.
I love Christmas. You like put your arms up. If anybody, just imagine her putting her fists above her head.
I do.
Benson's like, Maria, he can't hurt you anymore. Give me the gun. And you're like, what are you talking about? He can always hurt her, whatever. But anyways, she's like, he fucking killed Miguel. And she's getting more and more upset. And
Right.
Benson and Stabler are like, dude, you have another son. You got to think about Luis. Killing Fredo won't bring Miguel back. Benson grabs the gun and they all rush to Fredo. She's just like upset, obviously. So
Right.
Luis is at his grandma's right now. And Maria bought the gun on the street on the way there.
Like she bought a fucking hot dog or something.
Yeah.
She's like, where'd you get it? On the street. I was headed over here. And I was like, hey, do you have any guns?
He's like, yeah, I got a bunch. Duh.
Yeah, what do you need? AR-15? Oh, no. I'm not that hungry. I'll just take a little 9mm.
Thanks. Benson walks into Cragen's office to find Cragen and Cabot arguing. She's like, what's going on? Cabot wants to indict fucking Maria for attempted murder for using the cop protection money to buy a gun. Benson's like, what? Maria bought the gun to protect herself from a person who's been terrorizing her for years, and Cabot says it still doesn't give her the right to become a vigilante. It's not considered self-defense because Fredo's gun was 2 rooms away, unless they can prove Maria felt like her life was in immediate danger, which I was like...
I don't understand that argument because he literally killed one of her children. And if somebody who's been in that position can't have a PTSD argument for like the years of abuse that she endured with him,
he's been
like that would
sending
affect
people. Yeah, he sent somebody to her son's funeral. Like she's been constantly running away from him.
Right. And just because his gun was 2 rooms away doesn't mean that he couldn't kill her some other way. She saw somebody beat to death with a baseball bat by this guy. That argument doesn't make any sense.
Right.
I get how Cabot has to bring up all the possibilities, but no, Cabot.
Apparently, extreme emotional distress doesn't apply either because Maria knew exactly what she was doing when she went to Fredo's. So, I don't know.
Well, she did buy that hot dog on the street. So,
She did, yeah. Maria dropped Luis off at grandma's, ditched the Bronx cops, bought a gun, and went to Fredo's to kill him. Like it was planned out. Benson argues that they put her in the position, like SVU, like all the cops put her in that position because they couldn't protect her. Ugh. Cabot's like, Maria committed a crime, but Benson says that they are partially responsible for the crime. Benson is begging Cabot to cut Maria a fucking break.
Right.
And Cragen says that Maria is her only witness to the murder of Joey Stapleton. If Cabot convicts Maria, her credibility is shot, and her murder case against Fredo is just done.
So it's like, pick the less of 2. Cabot wants to prosecute everything, and I respect like how hard she follows the letter of things, but this is just one of those examples of give it a little bit of gray.
Right. Cabot says she's like, I have to enforce the law, and the law is not always about justice. Your words, remember? Because Cragen said that to her like the second time she's on the show. Cragen says Fredo will kill again and that if anything happens to Maria and Louise, it's on her. And then this is weird because this ending was weird. Okay, hold on.
I loved it.
Benson, Cabot, and Stabler are putting Maria and Louise on a bus out of town. They say they'll let Grandma know they left, but not where they are.
Cabot made the right choice. Liberty, liberty, liberty.
Stabler says he murdered her child. She'll be back. The end. I don't know how she could. I don't know. It's weird. Interesting.
It's definitely not Soup's legal.
Yeah. Well, that's it, guys. That was the end of the fucking episode.
Chaser. Russell Peeler Jr. was living in Bridgeport, Connecticut, dealing drugs and committing other crimes, including alleged gang activity. On September 2nd, 1997, he attempted to kill a former drug associate, Rudolph Sneed Jr. He went by Rudy, so that's what I'm going to call him. Rudy was driving his son and his girlfriend's son, 8-year-old Leroy B.J. Brown, home when he was shot. Rudy was slightly injured and was able to ID Russell Peeler as the shooter. B.J. was also able to ID Russell in a police photo array.
Did you almost say Palouse? What an idiot. Sorry, go ahead.
Although Russell was unsuccessful in his attempt, he would go on to try again months later on May 29th, 1998. This time, 26-year-old Russell shot and killed Rudy in a Boston Avenue barbershop with the same Glock 40 caliber pistol he had used in the previous shooting. Rudy ID'd Russell as his killer in his dying breath. That was May, okay? On December 23rd, oh my God.
May 3rd.
On December 23rd, 1998, Russell is charged with Rudy's death. This is also when Russell finds out that the key witness was set to be little BJ. Since the same gun was used in both shootings, BJ's testimony about the 1997 drive-by can be used to tie Russell Peeler to the murder. Okay?
So do we know why he was trying to kill him?
Drugs.
Oh.
It was speculated that it was possibly a debt or something like that.
Okay.
I mean, and it was only assumed to be drug related because he had dealings with him in the past that were drug related. Well, then 2 days after he was charged on fucking Christmas Day.
Oh, Jesus.
Like, that's a bigger crime to me. Russell told his girlfriend to get out of town because he was going to start killing witnesses. Enter two new people. Josephine Lee, a local sex worker and crack addict, and much more than that, but this is all we know about her in this story. I hate when articles paint somebody.
Right.
And these are old articles and stuff that I'm reading, but still, it's presented as if that's what we should base our opinion on with her. She's not great in this story, but I don't know. That always rubs me the wrong way.
Right.
So Josephine lived across the street from BJ and his mom, 30-year-old Karen Clark, on Earl Avenue in Bridgeport. Person number 2 is Russell Peeler's brother, Adrian Peeler, obvious associate of Russell's, drug shit, just into the same kind of shit that his brother was. Well, Russell ordered Adrian to kill Karen and BJ. Josephine Lee would later testify that on January 7th, 1999, Russell's brother Adrian gave her a handful of crack and told her to let him know when Karen and her son came back to their Bridgeport duplex. She watched and waited, and when Karen and BJ returned home from grocery shopping, Josephine called Adrian to report that they had arrived. Adrian showed up a few minutes later. Josephine then testified that she had gone to the door, knocked, and when Karen recognized her and opened it, Adrian pushed his way in. He then shot Karen Clark in the chest in front of her injured son, who had been shot in the arm.
Yeah.
8-year-old BJ screamed for his mom before Adrian shot the little boy in the head, killing him.
God, Jesus.
This was a handful of days before BJ was set to testify against Russell. Josephine testified to all of this in the trial with tears rolling down her face. The emotion in which she told it was a real clincher as well, regardless of the hindrances that were her relationship with drugs and her employment.
Yeah.
She's a human being who had an awful experience. Just witnessed the worst of crimes.
And contributed to it.
I do have a little more grace there because an addict is not making those sound decisions. You know, the guy gives her a handful of crack and it's like, hey, do this for me.
Yeah.
You know, you don't think beyond that. So beyond Josephine's eyewitness testimony, Russell Peeler's one-time drug associates testified that Russell told all of them repeatedly that he was going to kill BJ to keep him from getting on the stand. But more than anything, this judgment came down to motive. In his closing argument, state's attorney Jonathan C. Benedict said this to the jury, quote, "Who in the entire world would have anything to gain by the killings of this little boy other than Russell Peeler?"
I mean, yeah.
Adrian and Russell both were charged with conspiracy, murder, and capital felony for the murders of BJ and his mom. Federally, they were also charged with drug trafficking. These guys weren't small-time corner crack slingers. Okay, Russell was heading up an operation that moved 1.5 kilos of crack cocaine every week.
Holy shit.
Yes. So just to put a bow on it, Josephine Lee was given a sentence of no more than 7 years for conspiracy. She took a deal that included pleading guilty and testifying against the Peeler brothers. So that's where her sitting on the stand came from. And she still ended up having to serve time for her part in it. Adrian was sentenced to 60 years for murder conspiracy as well as a drug dealing charge. I'm not 100% sure why he wasn't straight up charged with first-degree murder, though. He was just charged with murder conspiracy. Russell was charged with the murder of Rudy Sneed, even without BJ's testimony, which is so fucking heartbreaking because it just means that they didn't even need BJ's testimony to convict. He was also charged with the murders of Karen and BJ. For Karen and BJ's deaths, he received 2 capital felonies, intentionally causing the death of a child and causing the deaths of 2 victims in the same crime. The jury ends up deadlocked. It's the year 2000. They're fucking deadlocked, trying to decide whether he should get the death penalty or not.
Okay.
And they just were like, we can't figure it out. All right. Later, the state Supreme Court ordered a new death penalty hearing with a new jury. It was like fucking 7 years later, December 10th, 2007. Finally, Judge Robert Devlin Jr. sentences Russell Peeler to death.
Okay.
Beyond this is 2007. There's a lot of updates that come with a story that's over 20 years old. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
Obviously, appeals have happened. But then in 2015, the death penalty was abolished for state crimes in Connecticut.
Oh.
Inmates on death row were able to get their sentences amended. So Russell Peeler, he's the second dude in line, gets his shit amended. The next year in 2016, the judge changed Russell's sentence from death to 2 consecutive life terms without the possibility of release. Those sentences would run consecutive to the 105-year sentence Russell received for the murder of Rudy Sneed.
Okay.
So he is in prison. And there's some other stuff that I read beyond that of like these guys are taken off death row, but they're put in like super duper max security prison and
just sit alone in a cell by themselves forever.
Yeah, it's a whole other level of super max. They're like, you guys are supposed to be on fucking death row. 23 hours a day of solitary, basically.
Yeah. That'd break me.
Oh.
I mean, just going to jail for me would break me, but like...
Right. Now, Adrian, the brother who actually committed the face-to-face fucking murders, his sentence for the crimes were 25 years. Okay? 20 years for the murders because he wasn't charged with murder. Remember, he was charged with conspiracy to commit murder.
Yeah.
Right? So he was charged with 20 years and there were other charges on that. So it got to 25 years. So he was to serve the 25 years for the murders of Karen and BJ as well as these other charges, followed by 35 years for a separate drug charge.
Okay.
His 25-year sentence will be up in January of 2022, so a few months from right now. Then he'll be transferred to a federal prison to serve the 35 years on the drug charge. Legit Tuesday, we record on Thursdays. This is 2 days ago. Legit Tuesday, November 16th. Okay. Adrian went before U.S. District Judge Janet Bond Arterton asking to be released once his murder conspiracy sentence is fulfilled. He begged to receive time served for his other charge, telling the judge he had grown and changed and worked to become a better person. The courtroom held the family of the victims. The judge heard everything that Adrian had to say and was like, cool, that's great. This place is full of people who are still grieving those that you point blank fucking murdered, and you didn't address them at all, didn't express remorse, nothing. So the judge rejected his request for early release, but did end up reducing Adrian Peeler's drug sentence to 15 years only because of current sentencing guidelines went against how he was being sentenced. And he hadn't even started serving that yet.
Yeah.
The end.
Good. Next week, we got Season 3, Episode 13, Prodigy. Benson and Stabler have the gruesome task of identifying the remains of a man and woman who were stabbed in a park.
Prodigy? I had these friends in high school that were in chess club, and their like slogan for their chess team was "Smack my bishop."
That's cute.
Get it?
Yeah.
Prodigy.
Yeah, I know. Okay. When I saw the thing, I saw the name of it. I was like, somebody's gonna make a Prodigy joke.
As soon as you said it, I was like, "Don't say fire starter."
Twisted fire starter.
Oh, also, guess what? We are having
a Christmas party.
No, wait. I wish I had some jingle bells here to.
No.
Wait a second.
No. Ugh.
Yeah, wait. Yeah.
No. I swear to God, if your fucking jingle bells hurt my ears, I'm gonna be pissed.
They're not gonna. You guys, guess what? We're gonna have a Christmas party for our Elite Squad patrons. You're gonna hear more about it, but if you want to come to our Christmas party...
Oh my God, you're like out of breath because you're excited. You were like, they're gonna hear more about it.
We're gonna do a virtual Christmas party, and it's going to be virtually and Christmasable.
Oh my God, fuck off.
Abby's putting together games and prizes, and we're going to hang out. It's going to be on Thursday, December 9th at 6 o'clock Central Time. So that's whatever time it is where you have Google, you guys. But if you want to be able to participate in our Christmas party, you have to be an Elite Squad patron. Speaking of Elite Squad patrons... God. Let me be excited about Christmas.
You can.
All your fucking ghost shit. Your ghost ass shit.
You love it, dude.
Jingle bells. I love that there's things that you love, and I love you. So
thanks.
You stupid bitch.
You dumbass cunt.
Okay, that said, thank you so much to our Elite Squad patrons. I hope we see you all at the Christmas party. Hayley K, Sonja W, Jennie S, Skye K, Nikki B, Marisa M, Elke H, Sarah A, Annie G, Mary D, Andrew, Rebekah D, Miranda B, Shelby W, Lex, Emily T, Kayla W, Mallory G, Eliza W, Bonita R, and Marin. You guys,
Should I say
we appreciate you. We love you. Yeah,
Should I say the Meg thing? Meg thing just once?
No, fuck Meg. Meg's like, if you guys don't start saying my name, I'm not going to listen anymore. We love you, Meg, and that's it. That's it.
Yeah. So follow us on all social media. Go ahead, do your little jingles while I do it. Follow us on all social media at SVUpod. Email us at svupod@gmail.com. Check out our website, www.svupod.com. And if you feel like you want to, check out hashtag Little Bit Loud. If you're a podcast that is littler. Oh my God, that is so distracting. I regret.
You mean joyously distracting? Okay, love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.